some background, because I don't know how much overlap there will be between our listeners, or if they'll be familiar with Dopey. I didn't know about it until you reached out to me, and then I saw that Brace Belden had done it, and it seemed interesting, and then I did it, and then it was one of these things like learning a new word, where once you learn it, you then start seeing it everywhere. So then I kept finding your podcast again. I'd be looking for reports of somebody having used the drug Telazol, for example, teledamine, and that you interviewed someone who's injecting teledamine. And so you have this massive archive of interviews with different people who've struggled with substance use problems. And it's a kind of lighthearted, non-serious, well, it's a very serious subject.
And sometimes we get serious, but I'm with you.
Yeah. Okay, what I saw seemed pretty lighthearted. So it's like serious subject matter, but you're kind of building a community surrounding addiction recovery. And it seems like there's some loose rules where you don't allow intoxicated people on the podcast. Is that right?
The rules have kind of fallen apart. But we originally, I didn't want anyone on the show that didn't have 24 hours of recovery, but I've let that go by the wayside a few times.
Right.
I mean, you were on the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it also depends on how you define drug, because I was on the show and I was like on caffeine, but I assume I'm not the
I was on caffeine too.
Yeah. I think your father gave me a cup of tea, so he was the dealer in that situation. I listened to a few more episodes. Then there was this horrifying tragedy that just occurred where Rob Reiner and his wife were murdered. And I did what probably everyone did, which was look up who's Nick Reiner. And I'm looking for any information about him, and I see, oh my God, he was a guest on this podcast, and I know that guy. So I immediately listened to the 2 episodes, and there were maybe more. I listened to 2
with Chris, when Chris was alive.
Yeah. Then I also watched the film Being Charlie. Have you watched it yet? Oh man, okay. And you hadn't watched it during the interview either. You've got a hands-off approach to these.
Normally I don't.
You don't?
I with Being Charlie, because I re-listened to the episode with Chris, and I think I had said, with Chris and Nick, and I had said to Chris, we should watch Being Charlie, and he didn't want to, so we didn't watch it. Okay. And then I never circled back to watch it.
I mean, I assume you've never had anything like this happen before, where someone that you interviewed later.
No.
Yeah.
He hasn't been convicted of killing them yet.
And that's irresponsible. It's
also like a hope that maybe he didn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a horrific story.
Yeah.
And no, the answer is no. I haven't had a guest who's been accused of murder, especially their parents, especially one of the most famous, accomplished beloved comedy writers, actors, and directors that America has ever produced.
Yeah. So, can you tell me the backstory, how you met him?
Sure. I mean, Dopey really started because I was in love with the Howard Stern show. And I was in my kitchen listening to the Howard Stern show, smoking cigarettes out the window, and Nick Reiner was on with Rob Reiner talking about Being Charlie. And I love Rob Reiner. You know, I'm a New York City Jew. I fucking work at Katz's Deli to this day. You know, I'm connected to Rob Reiner. I grew up watching All in the Family. I lived for Stand By Me. I was 12 when Stand By Me came out, about 12-year-olds. And when I heard Nick Reiner on with Rob Reiner talking about his intense addiction and his film and his journey towards recovery, Nick reminded me a lot of Chris, my friend who I started the show with. Both of them had money. Both of them did a lot of really hard drugs when they were young, and had kind of powerful fathers. And I just figured Nick would really fit in on our show. So I said to Chris, we should get this kid to be on our show. Chris reached out to him on Facebook, and he came on the show. And when Nick sat with us, he very much fit in, because he was a fucked up drug addict, very newly sober. Did you run with the high-powered, rich, party Hollywood types?
No.
That was never your thing?
No, because they didn't want to get down like that, you know.
They drink and club and
They
bottles.
drank, you know, sniff some coke and stuff like that. But there's no huge parties. The people that are doing the kind of stuff I was doing, it's, you know. At this point, it's taken so long to get the heroin, and I'm so sober that I'm like, I don't even want to do this at this point, but I'm in so much trouble for leaving the place, for like, dude, like, I got to kind of already do this. And this was one of the closest. He just shoots me up with a full thing. And I mean, it was incredible. But the point of the story is that the seed of heroin got planted by the first time I was ever in rehab. Yeah. And the person I got it from was a guy that I met in rehab like 3 years down the line.
I mean, how horrible that is, though, for parents. They send their, beloved child off to rehab.
Did your mother blame herself?
Yeah, we always talk about that. Like, I don't think that they should. I really don't think that they should feel that way at all. Like, and it's not. It's always a person's choice to do something. I think it was sort of like, I had done drugs. I had gotten involved in those and that sort of stuff. But like everyone knows that's ever felt anything like drug addiction. They know you can't be forced into a thing like that. Like, and I think that makes the problem worse, honestly. And like, it's not good to say don't, but maybe it's, parents, they get scared, so they don't want to, they don't want to see their children die, so they jump the gun.
And he was living in New York City as well?
He was living here for like 6 months or something. And he came down to record with me and Chris.
And what was he doing at that time?
I don't think he was doing anything. I think he was promoting I think Being Charlie had been out for 6 months. I don't know that he was doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was playing pickup basketball on West 4th Street.
I heard that, yeah.
I knew that he was very interested in writing, and I knew that he was interested in having a career in entertainment in some shape or form.
Right. And he wasn't in New York City recovery spheres?
He was probably in therapy. He probably dipped and dabbed in 12-step, but he wasn't into it. You
didn't watch the movie?
No, I didn't watch the movie.
Are you going to watch the movie? I just watched it.
How was it?
It's very interesting.
I'll watch the movie.
Yeah.
I'll watch the movie. I'm sure everybody's watching it right now.
Everyone is watching it.
I'm embarrassed that I didn't watch the movie, and I like that I'm embarrassed that that I have a hands-off approach to my work.
but it's very, very, very bizarre.
Tell me why.
You're really getting in there, dude.
Gotta embrace the work.
I don't know. As a recovering junkie, I'm pretty hesitant to get on my knees.
Hey, unlike you, that does not bring back any memories.
Hey, I never sucked dick.
Good for you.
Some guy did blow me once, though.
Some guy gave you heroin to suck your dick.
Yeah, it's not that complicated.
But
addiction is a disease, man.
No, I get why you did it. I get what you got out of it, but what does he get out of it?
Fuck if I know.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but that doesn't sound like such a bad deal.
Yeah. If you close your eyes and think of Jessica Alba, it's really not that much of a difference.
Don't worry about spoiling it.
Oh, I'm not worried about spoiling it. I'm worried about not accurately capturing the magnitude of the strangeness. Do you know the premise of it?
There's a politician who has a kid, and the kid is a drug addict, and the politician is worried that the kid is going to ruin his reputation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a very thinly veiled depiction of Nick Reiner's relationship with Rob Reiner. And all of the dynamics are on display in a way that is really bizarre, because you can imagine someone like him being in the situation of, he's not a sympathetic character. Nobody is sympathetic to people who grow up with tremendous privilege. But at the same time, to be somewhat fair to him, that is a rough position to be in. He's like 2 layers of fame, where his grandfather is famous as well. And so not only is he the son of somebody famous, he's the grandson of someone famous. So when he looks at his father isn't just famous. His father is someone who overcame the tremendous fame of his father and still succeeded. So there's like two layers
and
of
the
it.
politician is the son of a politician too?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm just
And
kind
the
of like,
Reiner clan.
I'm just trying to
Yes.
like kind of psychologically set the background, which is that this isn't just the son of somebody famous. This is the grandson. So you have like an extra topping of psychological difficulty associated with his position. And then his father, who's widely recognized as a good guy, has this sort of compassionate idea of making a film about his son fucking up.
Well, giving his son a chance to write a movie that gets made, basically.
Yes.
And
yeah.
explore the demons that occupy his son's psyche.
But one problem is that it's being made by Rob Reiner. So it can't actually truly explore either party. Both of them are kind of holding each other hostage in this strange storytelling where, you know, when you look at like I don't know if you've read Permanent Midnight.
I have.
So it's like...
And I had Jerry Stahl on.
Oh, awesome.
He's great.
Yeah. You know, it's very unkind to his family.
Yeah.
And that's part of a artistic, cathartic depiction of a problem.
Breaking away.
Like, but imagine if Permanent Midnight was co-authored with Jerry Stahl's dad.
Right.
Like, it's suddenly you can't be mean, you have to be fair to both parties, and it kind of like would ruin the ability to even tell the story effectively, because it would be this sort of exercise in diplomacy between the generations. It would be totally different. It wouldn't work at all.
Even more than that, because he wrote it with some dude in rehab, but Rob made it. So it's like even worse than co-writing it. It's like publishing or editing said piece, like with Jerry Stahl. Rather than like Jerry Stahl wrote this book in opposition of his family, and if his father was involved, he wouldn't be the co-writer. He'd be the publisher. He'd be the editor. He'd be the gatekeeper for every aspect of the book, whereas Jerry Stahl needed to have his own personal expression. Rob Reiner says to Nick, I'm going to give you this opportunity, but I'm going to make sure it's in my vision.
Yeah.
Which is what you're saying.
Which ultimately doesn't make the father look bad, because Rob Reiner's not going to make a thinly fictionalized story about his son's struggles with addiction that paints him as a bad character. So ultimately, every character is creepy and unsympathetic. The father character is creepy and unsympathetic. The Nick Reiner character is creepy and unsympathetic. The whole thing is extremely unpleasant to watch, palpably unpleasant. Watching them promote it is also extremely unpleasant to watch, because you have this tension, kind of embarrassment from Nick Reiner, because here it is, he's accomplished something. This is ostensibly his emergence from the darkness of addiction, and yet he's still so explicitly in his father's shadow, sitting next to his father on these talk shows. His father is the charming one, his father's smiling, he's still sullen, he's still in this kind of subservient child. His father's explicitly referring to him as his child repeatedly, which is, of course, from Rob Reiner's perspective, not an insult, but an accurate description. But you can almost feel this embarrassment from Nick Reiner. And the entire thing almost is like torturous to look at.
So you make me not really want to watch this movie.
Oh, well, I wouldn't watch it to like relax and feel good about yourself. I think as a psychologically torturous depiction of this father-son dynamic that is truly unprecedented in its weirdness, that the father is directing the movie and that they're trying to make something constructive. There's this desperation to mine something constructive out of all this suffering, and it's just not there.
Look, Charlie, I know you're angry at me, and you probably don't want to hear this right now, but I do love you. sorry. Every expert with a desk and a diploma told me I had to be tough on you. But every time we sent you away to another one of those programs, I saw you slipping further away from us. And all I could tell myself was, I'd rather have you alive and hating me than dead on the streets.
It was never about the drugs. All I ever wanted was a way to kill the noise. But the more I used, the louder it got.
I was part of the noise, wasn't I?
I mean, the story has a happy ending, which is that the Nick Reiner character becomes a stand-up comedian. Was that something that he was doing?
No. But he did talk about doing press for being Charlie on Dopey and how difficult it was for him, and how the people who would interview them would always say, you need to play up the father-son relationship in the press for the movie, which made Nick feel a certain, like what you picked up was definitely being put down. You know what I mean? Like, it's so sad. It's so hard to make sense of at this point of the story. Because on Dopey, like, we're doing this at the time very recovery-centric version of our show, and Nick was talking about after the press junket, he would get high, but the whole press junket, he was saying how he's sober, you know. So he's this, everything that you're describing in terms of the psychological impact of being in your father's shadow, trying to be an emerging artist who breaks away from being in his father's or grandfather's shadow. Like, he's suppressed his whole life. He has this moment, but it's totally provided by Rob. And then after the press junket where he gets to say, I'm sober, he has to get high. It's heartbreaking, the whole story.
It's really a horrifying thing. And I mean, I'm sure you've encountered quite a few of these sorts of people. I've known a lot of them. This Nick Reiner dynamic is not unusual. I mean, I had a roommate for years who, kicked out of the house when he was 14, lived on the street, that kind of thing. And what's amazing is the convergence between people who have everything and people who have nothing, and how they can lead you to the exact same place of just complete self-doubt, complete sense of worthlessness. And in some sense, the person who has everything is paradoxically even worse off because nobody's even sympathetic to them. They're truly considered scum in a way that you would not, if someone said, hey, my dad kicked me out when I was 14, I lived on the street for 4 years and I'm just trying to get by, you would say, like, well, good for you. Like, that's awesome, hang in there. But if someone is the son of one of the most famous people in the world, and they're struggling, everyone in the back of their head is thinking, oh, for fuck's sake.
It's kind of like what we were talking about before we started, like the incredible positive nature of accomplishing things in your life, how good it feels to need to accomplish something, what it does to you. And when you don't have that need to figure out how am I going to make it in the world, it messes with you. Like if I didn't figure out that I needed to make a living, when I didn't need to make a living, I didn't do as well. Like, I grew up, my parents were teachers, but if I didn't have money, they would have helped me out. Right. And when they helped me out, I did way worse than when I didn't get help. And I think people in that situation, their safety net can be their cage.
Yeah.
Like this woman, because it's like the thrill of creating your life, the thrill of accomplishing something, the thrill that there are stakes that you've met and you've proven to the universe that you can take care of yourself. What you get from that is so powerful.
Yeah.
And if you don't ever get that, you're deprived something very primal, I think.
When you're interviewing people that have these struggles, are there tells or signifiers, things that make you think this person has a chance or this person is doomed?
No. All I try to do when I interview people is connect with them and learn something and try to understand what the hell they're talking about. I do not think I think Nick Reiner could have, it had to happen because it happened, but you do things a little bit differently and you have a totally different outcome. I've seen people fail and die, friends, and I've seen people who I didn't think could possibly get better and have amazing lives. I can't tell, no.
Yeah.
It's very mysterious and horrifying that that's the case. However, when I see somebody, I feel uncomfortable talking about Nick a little bit at all, but I've been talking about him all week in this crazy kind of because he did my show a bunch of times, so everybody wants to know my perception of him. The biggest tell of somebody's success is what, especially in recovery or in any aspect of life, is what are they willing to do? You want to make a YouTube show. Well, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to call somebody up to come over? Are you willing to get somebody to edit the show? Are you willing to set up the cameras so you like how they look? Those are things to succeed in a YouTube show. If you're trying to be in recovery, are you willing to not use drugs? Are you willing to go to a meeting? Are you willing to get a sponsor? Are you willing to do anything towards your recovery? And your success comes from your willingness and then the action based on your willingness.
Yeah.
And that's life. You know what I mean? What are you willing to do in your life to have a life that you want? Don't you think?
I'm not sure.
Okay, then break it down, please.
I don't know what I can definitely recognize what strike me as pathological patterns of thinking, which are sometimes sort of innocuous, but sometimes it will prevent someone from living a full life.
When I spoke to Nick on the show, he did not want to give himself over to full recovery. He wanted to smoke weed. The last time he called in, though, because I was compiling all the shows and I missed the last one, and then I noticed it and I just started listening to it was a Christmas episode, and we often for Christmas episodes get people to send in messages or call in, kind of like old school TV shows where people show up at Christmas time feeling. And he was totally sober in his last appearance on the show, and he sounded so clear and happy. So to bring you guys a special Christmas message, I've brought in the great, the one and the only Nick Reiner. Welcome back to the show.
This is Nick Reiner, and I want to wish the Dopey Nation a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And, what else?
What's going on, man? You don't say hi? You go into this pre-recorded thing? I could have just played a voicemail. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm saying hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing really good.
Yeah? You sober?
Yes.
You're such a liar, Nick. How you come on Dopey to lie?
That's the truth.
Really? No weed?
Yep. No weed.
Really? How long?
About a week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. What was the change of heart?
I just don't feel like I need it, really.
So what was the change of heart?
I don't know, just the Christmas spirit. I'm feeling it.
That's beautiful. Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Did you ever give your dad the Oy vey hat?
Never.
Did you read the script?
I'll never do that.
Well, why did I send it to you if you're not going to give it to him?
I don't know. You're like harping on the fact that it was $30 and that you sent me this package, and I'm not going to give it to him.
Did you open the package?
No, it's sitting in my room, and it's just depressing fucking brown bag with these dumb Oy vey hats.
No, there's Dopey hats in it for you.
Oh.
You don't want the Dopey hat, the fire Dopey?
No.
You don't? Send that shit back. Send it back.
Okay.
Dude, man, what happened to the Christmas spirit?
I don't know.
Dude, you were just...
I guess I'm the only one without the Christmas spirit.
You just said you had the Christmas spirit and it's keeping you from smoking weed.
I think everybody in the Dopey Nation will understand that I'm not going to give my dad the Oy Vey hats. They'll get it.
I don't think so. I think it's a disappointment to me and to the Dopey Nation and to
They'll be happy that I'm not smoking weed, and that's about it.
All right. Well, I think your dad would really like.
And next time when I call in, bring a little bit more energy.
Can you just please consider giving your father the gift I spent money to send to you and him?
Okay.
And would you please wear the Dopey hat, for Christ's sake? I sent you a gift too. Open it up for Christmas this year. Do you guys have a Christmas tree?
All right, I'll put it under the little tree I have.
Do you have a Christmas tree?
Yeah.
So put the Dopey package under the tree and listen, don't give it to your dad. I don't care. I want you to wear a Dopey hat for the new year. Okay? How's that?
All right, how do I get out of this?
Just say yes.
Yes.
What do you mean get out of this? I sent you a gift. It's a hat. Half the Dopey Nation is begging for a free hat. I send you, Nick Reiner, a free one, and you're ungrateful. Hello?
Okay.
All right, Nick. Great to hear from you. Have a very Merry Christmas, my love.
How's it going?
Who's that?
It's a... Did you hear that? I'm the coolest man ever. That's what she just said.
What the fuck is going on?
Everybody's just realizing, Never mind.
Well, there he is. Nick Reiner, ladies and gentlemen. Why don't you say another Merry Christmas to make this end better?
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year. Happy Jew Year.
And Happy New Year.
All right, bud. Thank you for calling in. I love you.
All right.
Later.
Much love.
Yes, sir. All right, so that was the great Nick Reiner. And I don't know what happened. I know that me and him never spoke again. And I think me and him never spoke again because I asked him if he could get Rob Reiner to come on Dopey. I think that's what ended our friendship.
Right, which I think is maybe emblematic of the being Charlie problem, which is that even in the domain of fucking up, he's still...
second fiddle to his father.
Yes.
Nick had a place on our show if Rob Reiner came on or not. That I just think it was insensitive of me to ask Nick if Rob Reiner would call into the show. I asked, Nick and I were talking more at that point. Chris had died. My other best friend had just died. This guy, Todd, that I grew up with, getting high with. And I was shook and terrified and ambitious around Dopey, but also trying to stay alive. And I thought Rob Reiner would save the show. And I thought Nick was a friend. And I didn't realize what a horrible ask it was at the time. He never spoke to me again. I probably texted him 100 to 200 times after that, and he never got back to me.
Apologizing?
No, well, I apologized probably 5 times, and then I probably texted him, yo, 145 times.
It's impressive. But I can see that where I could imagine from his perspective thinking...
what an asshole.
Or even thinking, Jesus, even on a podcast about being addicted to drugs...
he still wants my dad.
He still wants my dad, who isn't even a fucking drug addict.
Yeah, right.
Like, is there any place in this world where people actually care about me?
That's rough. But he has a daughter, and he has another son, and he has another daughter. He has 2 daughters and another son, Rob Reiner. And they're all making their way. And obviously, it's an interesting point in general. You asked me what kind of people we get on the show. And we've had so many children of celebrities who are addicts. I've had Bruce Willis's daughter. I had, Ashley Hamilton. I had Jack Osborne many times on the show. It's a trend that these children and most of them, the parents were addicts too. And overcoming the shadow of celebrity is like overcoming addiction. It is an overcoming thing to find out who I am in the wake of what my parent did.
Right. I mean, there's even an entire hypothetical mechanism for addiction that revolves around unearned reward. I don't know if you've ever heard about self-handicapping.
Tell me.
But there was a psychologist named Edward Jones who was trying to experimentally probe the possibility that people use drugs to harm themselves, which is a controversial idea. Most people, particularly most people that struggle with substance use, don't like this idea at all. They feel that they use drugs in pursuit of euphoric, enjoyable effects, and the negative, detrimental effects are incidental and undesirable, which is the logical, superficial analysis that I think most people would have. Very few people would say, oh, I drink to have a hangover. But he was interested in the possibility that maybe people do drink to have a hangover. So he devised an experiment to test this. This podcast is also brought to you by Lucy Nicotine, a company that makes nicotine pouches, nicotine gum, and nicotine lozenges. I particularly enjoy the apple ice flavored nicotine pouch. It is a refreshing and well-formulated product. If you don't already use nicotine products, I recommend you don't begin. They're habit forming. But if you do, I think this is the finest nicotine product on the market. Thank you, Lucy. And in case this isn't already obvious, warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. He created 2 fictional drugs and had a group of college students. And he said, we're going to evaluate these 2 made-up drugs. And he created fake PDR entries for these drugs, fake names. One was called Pandocrine. The other was, I can't remember what the other one was called. And one of these drugs, they were maybe blood pressure medications or something like that. And he said, well, one of them is associated with a little bit of a decrease in cognitive performance, and the other one is associated with what appears to be a little bit of an increase in cognitive performance, and we want to assess this. And so he gives everyone an exam, and the exam is very, very difficult, and everyone fails this exam. But he divides the people that have failed into 2 groups. One group, he says, you failed this exam. You did terribly. The other group, who also failed the exam, he says, you aced this exam. Then he says, all right, now we want to test this drug to see what it does. The people who failed the exam and were told that they failed all wanted the drug that improves cognitive functioning. But the people who failed the exam and were told that they succeeded all wanted the drug that interferes with cognitive functioning. And the idea is that there's a sort of wound to their self-esteem from this unearned reward. They know that they failed the exam, and they know that they're being told that they did well, even though they didn't earn it. And it has messed with their self-esteem, and they want to externalize their own failure through the influence of a drug.
I can relate to that.
It's a very interesting idea that I actually think has a lot more explanatory value than, you never hear this discussed, but it makes total sense. Because if you fail trying your best, then you have no one to blame but yourself. And it's painful and embarrassing and shows that you don't have it. But if you fail, but you were
totally encumbered,
you were just fucked up, then it's not really you that failed. It's, you
never really tried.
You never really tried. You were fucked up. You smoked weed, whatever. Yeah, you were bad on that promotional appearance for your movie or whatever, but you were high, so who cares? And so I think that is actually an explanation for a lot of people who feel that they have an unearned reward. This messes with their self-esteem. They then need to externalize the failure through drug use. And this is called self-handicapping. And I think it explains why a lot of these people end up in patterns of self-destructive drug use, because it allows them to externalize the inability to live up to the expectations that are associated with both their privilege and the familial status.
Yeah, I can relate to that 100%. I could, because you get some kind, but it's also like there's other factors, right? The other, for me, like I got really into weed in my late teens, and I always wanted to have a talk show. I always wanted to do television production when I was a kid. And I wound up getting a job producing a TV show in my early 20s, interviewing musicians in the 90s. And it was cool. Like I interviewed Ween and the Flaming Lips and fucking KRS-One and all these different acts. And at that exact moment, I was like heroin addict. You know, like I fucked around with heroin a little bit, but once I made this deal where I was making a bunch of money and I had exactly the experience I wanted, I handicapped. You know what I mean? And I did it because I was so worried about the work, but I was probably worried that I wouldn't succeed without, like, I think I was scared to succeed or scared to fail on my own merits. And I think your theory is good. I like it.
I do as well. I do. Yeah. And I think this even explains, like, to some extent, why famous people, it's not just the children of famous people. Like, you know, if you're at the top of your game and you're afraid that you might lose it in some way, again, if you succumb to addiction, you've externalized the failure. It's not something that happened as a result of you losing your abilities as a musician or you becoming unpopular as a musician. It's because you were drinking too much or doing too much cocaine or you got into heroin or whatever. So I think that there's a very psychologically complex dynamic at play in these Nick Reiner type people that is then further exacerbated by the fact that you're a completely unsympathetic character. Everybody hates you. Nobody, I mean, I'm looking at like the YouTube comments, you know, on all of these interviews during the promotion for Being Charlie, and it's clear everybody hates him. Everybody is just.
That's very sad because I didn't look at any of that. I didn't look at any of the comments about him. He had some champions in our community that liked that he was honest, that, you know, when he was on the first few times, that called for him to be the third host of our show, that liked that he wasn't abstinent, that liked that he was trying to speak his truth. I think the one thing that you're leaving out that's important to mention when we're talking about this situation is his mental health, that he might have had other issues, diagnoses at play that really had him facing the world in a different way, where he has, I don't remember he probably told me what his diagnosis was. I wouldn't be surprised if it was bipolar depression or some form of bipolar affective disorder. So he was medicated for that. Plus he was on all these drugs. Plus he was disliked, like you're saying, by the masses. Plus he was not measuring up to his father or his grandfather or his name. And it creates this horrible pressure cooker, this terrible storm. It's so scary to even think about. Like, I don't know. I fucking posted the emergency Nick Reiner episode and 2 people commented, "You shouldn't do that, Dave." And I got very upset that anybody would question anything I did, let alone hundreds of people saying I suck, like promoting my movie with my incredibly lovable father. Like, the shit he was up against sounds terrible, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not an enviable position at all.
And he put himself out there. He could have become like a finance bro. He could have been like a veterinarian. He could have been a dentist. He could have done anything. But he threw himself into this arena and was scrutinized incredibly.
Yeah.
And sad.
Yeah.
Hard. It's horrible. The whole thing, more than anything, is just deeply, deeply sad.
From every perspective. I also feel for Rob Reiner, obviously, in that you can tell he's really trying. You can tell that he's during the promotion, he keeps emphasizing, it's also a line in Being Charlie, so he's clearly very committed to this idea that he made this terrible mistake in trusting the experts because they had diplomas on their walls, is what he says, and not listening to his own son, and abandoning his empathy for his kin in favor of these...
That's from the movie.
Yeah. Right. And in the promotion, he's saying this repeatedly. And
that's interesting.
It's interesting because it's so unbelievably wrong.
I think that, again, I'm playing whatever you call it, Monday morning quarterback or however you want to describe it. But I think when you're somebody like Rob Reiner and your career is making these fantasies, you kind of make these rules in your movie, in your fake world, and then you have to follow them. So in that movie, the fake rule was that I didn't listen to my son. I listened to these people with these diplomas on the walls because I heard them talking about it. And I think like your idea of the handicapping or the idea of not listening to a professional or the idea of AA doing esteemable actions gives you self-esteem, all those things work together and it's not just one thing. Like the handicapping yourself with drugs is part of it, because also the drugs make you feel good.
Right.
You know, also like the drugs help with my fear, the drugs help with my anxiety, the drugs help me talk to women, the drugs help me talk to men, whatever it is. It's like this horrible symphony of shit. And if you're going the wrong way, it can wind up really bad. And that's what happened to Nick.
Yeah.
Right?
That's certainly what it looks like.
Yeah.
And what, again, I think you're responsible not to overextend what is known, but based on what appears to be known, it seems like after this movie comes out, nothing really changes. Rob Reiner probably gets fed up because it's incredibly stressful dealing with somebody. You're unsure whether you're enabling their addiction, whether by helping them and treating them with sympathy, you are in fact killing them, whether cutting them off is the appropriate thing to do. And then on top of that, you have, there's like another very alarming moment that was intentionally chosen in one of these recently released interviews, because I think people are now kind of re-editing some of the promotional material from the Being Charlie press junket. And Nick Reiner says something along the lines of, you don't want to make me mad, or something like that. He makes some kind of comment like that of course, in light of what happened, has a very ominous feeling.
You don't seem very fiery to me. You seem like you might just...
I get crazy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You don't want to set me off.
And so you can imagine all of this, and it's just a nightmare for everyone involved.
Well, he told a story on our show about destroying his parents' guest house. Did you hear that one? You saw the clip, probably, because everyone's clipped that.
Yeah.
And put this out like that he went crazy, and he said that I went crazy and destroyed this house, and I punched out the TV and I punched out a light fixture and all this stuff. And it's I don't know Rob Reiner, but I imagine he's very measured, and he wouldn't put himself in a situation that was inherently dangerous to himself. I don't know why I even say that, but I just don't feel like he would have done that. I feel like, I don't know. It's like, I'll ask you, like you've consumed a lot of Rob Reiner material and talks and films and acting. Like, does he strike you as somebody that would put himself in mortal danger in any situation?
I couldn't say that. I don't know about that, but his artistic work definitely has a kind of sentimental quality to it, and he, in interviews, has always seemed like a soft, warm, gentle, reasonable person. And I think those are also the people that can most easily be exploited due to their compassion and desire to do the right thing. And on top of that, if you have essentially unlimited financial resources, it becomes even more difficult to cut somebody off, because you're not even really suffering by putting them in the 10th rehab facility. I mean, some people are financially crippled by a child who has substance use problems, but this is something that he could indefinitely continue. He could clean up the guest room and do it again, and put him in a different facility and get a full-time person to monitor him or chaperone him in some way. And so finding the point where you cut somebody off and say that you won't tolerate it anymore is probably even more difficult than it is for a normal person.
And also a lot of the Being Charlie press was around Nick. Nick had been kicked out. Nick had been out in the world in some capacity, like homeless, he describes it as. So I don't know what happened to Nick in the last 7 years. I didn't see a picture of him. I didn't hear a story about him, nothing. I don't know where he lived. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he earned $1. I don't know anything. I don't think he was homeless. Like, I don't think so. But I think I would have heard from him. I think if he had been homeless, I would have heard from him. And I think if he had been sober, I would have heard from him. But in the position he was in, I didn't hear from him.
Yeah.
Not a fun story.
Yeah.
It's a class A American tragedy. It's like the biggest, most horrible story that you could really imagine besides like war. Because it's like the most beloved American figure seemingly killed by his drug addict son.
Yeah.
And his wife is murdered too, and the daughter finds him. It's as bad as it gets.
Yeah. I don't know if there's like a constructive message to extract.
I think there is a constructive message. And the constructive message, in my opinion, is when you see somebody struggling, you reach out. And if you get tired of them, you reach out more. And if you're struggling, you reach out. Because when you're alone, things go bad. And you need to be connected to people. And it sounds like a Pollyanna-ish trope, but I've seen it over and over and over again in every level of addiction and alcoholism, that people die by themselves and they get better with other people.
Right.
And I think that's the message the only message I can imagine is like, if your kid seems unreachable, never stop trying to reach them, never stop trying to find some help for them.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's one of the therapeutic mechanisms of AA is just the community.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Damn. Well,
how did you imagine this talk ending? It's horrible. It's a horrible scenario.
Yeah. I mean, I find the fact that there is this film made that is this very strange and distorted portrait of the dynamic another layer that's very unusual for something like this. I mean, it would be like, you know, if Elliot Rodger's father or something had made a film about Elliot Rodger that didn't really capture the severity of the dysfunction or the type of dysfunction. I mean, you don't really get a sense of either character in this movie.
You can see that in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's probably why I didn't watch it, because it felt detached. Like I felt this detachment from reality when I watched the trailer and talked to Nick. It was like, I didn't want to get into that. And I also think like when I heard what happened, all I could feel was that like a demonic feeling that this murder happened in their home. And then this movie is this weird sort of psychedelic, demented funhouse mirror of their lives, and all of it put together is terrifying.
Yeah. And maybe the reason that the movie is bad is because the reality is so much more terrifying and unsympathetic, that one aspect of the storytelling in a movie is you need characters that people can identify with, but aspects of this may be so dark and weird that you can't even really identify with them in a normal way.
I think Rob Reiner wanted to connect with his kid, and he wanted to help his kid. And Nick Reiner wanted to write a great movie and prove to the world and to his father that he was worth something. You know, I think that was the bones of this thing. And Nick Reiner is worth something. he didn't need this to prove that he was worth something. But that's, one of the big questions that people are going to try to figure out now.
Yeah, like I could actually see this movie having made things worse.
Well, I appreciate that thesis, and I feel terrible that I didn't watch it yet. I'm going to watch it. It's going to fuck me up. Can we do a part 2 after I watch it?
Yeah, if you have thoughts about the movie.
I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you talking about it. I think it is, I can imagine that I know that like lots of people are reaching out to you, probably got like hundreds of messages about this, and I can imagine that you would feel some reservations about discussing it because you don't want it to look like you're exploiting this in some way, but I think it is actually like a very interesting and dynamic that's worthy of discussion. I mean, it's a very strange thing.
It's a tragedy. I do feel like I'm exploiting it. I do feel like I'm being opportunistic, but I've always wanted our show to be cared about. I also care about Nick. I care about addicts in general, and I care about people finding recovery. I just beat myself up that I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing or not.
Yeah.
So you think I am doing the right thing or not doing the right thing?
I think you probably neither. I definitely don't think you're doing the wrong thing.
All right, well, that's good enough then.
Because you're certainly not making things worse.
Right.
You're not like,
I appreciate that.
No one is being harmed by you discussing this. In fact, I think you're making things better. I think you're doing the right thing to the small extent that a right thing can be done.
No, I appreciate that. And I actually do care about Nick, and I didn't know his family. I knew Nick, and I care about him, and I'm horrified that this happened.
Yeah.